And that's a very different form. It's a very different, let's say, behavior, the leader from the manager. It's very different behavior when we start saying, okay, let's create a direction and inspire people to go in that direction, and fund them a little bit. Give them some money to test small things and move forward. That's very different, and not only a different skill set, but a different mindset for that type of behavior. And unfortunately, I think it's very easy to go back to. We always say, for example, authority and leadership usually don't always go together, right? A person can have authority and be a horrible leader, and a person can be a great leader with absolutely no authority, because they're able to inspire and guide people. So if you look at it in that sense, it's very easy to be corrupted by authority and to forget how good leaders should behave when people have that. And I think that's.
You're probably going to find leaders emerge during this time as well. So I think we're moving now, perhaps a good metaphor for this is the old world that we had was a very mechanical world.
Yeah.
And it was run like a machine. We have blueprints, well-oiled machine, efficiency. This is now like an organic environment. But Russians should be quite good at that because everybody has a dacha. They know about creating the conditions in which things grow. You can't control the weather, you can't control how much sunshine, you can't control whether the quality of the seeds necessarily that you've got, but if you start to manage the conditions, things will grow. And I think that's probably the mindset that needs to be encouraged by leadership, because you don't know what's going to happen. You want to, as you said, you want to have multiple bets and seeing which one of these bets. So you try things, if it works, you try a little bit more, stage gate process. So it grows a little bit more, you give that more resources. If it doesn't work, you starve it of resources, understand why it's not working, and then spread that information that didn't work because of this, can we retry that again? So it's multiple little bets that you want to have, and that's how you can design for discovery.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we talked a little before about this, the evolution of business models from balance sheet centric, product centric, customer centric, relationship centric, and it's interesting how management models change as you go through those, because you get the hierarchical control, which is a very distinct form of management. You get matrix management in the product centric organization. You get collaborative leadership in the customer-centric organization, and you get this adaptive organization or network of teams, and the form of management there we actually call inspirational guidance, because there's an analogy that I use which I think is funny to illustrate the extremes, which is government and religion. So if you think about the mechanics of governing versus the mechanics of religion, it's dramatically different territory. In one, I'm driven by rules, standards, laws, let's say. The mechanics around it are about getting fined for not following the rules and so on. It's about policing and controlling behavior. The whole goal of it is to get rid of bad behavior and create a stable environment. Whereas if we look at religion, the mechanics are dramatically different, right? It's about creating behavioral role models. The mechanics are about inspiration and guidance. The goal is to spread the good versus getting rid of the bad. The goal is, and the belief is that there's some, super, let's say, prize for behaving according to this new standard. And if you look at the way that leaders, let's call them leaders in those two different extremes are, in one, I get corrupted by this authority. I have the authority, I can tell people what to do, and I can control their behavior. In the other, I don't really have any of the authority, so to lead, I have to inspire and engage people, and I have to maybe guide them from time to time if they've fallen off the right path, but it's really interesting. So, and if you look at, how many people choose to follow religions, and how many people are just kind of tortured by their governments or so on. There's this dramatic difference. We follow because we want to, and people are more engaged in that, and it has a greater influence on their behavior.
I think it's interesting when you look at endurance as well. Religions have been around for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Governments fall
often
with a much greater regularity.
Exactly.
So in that sense, you've got, I think we spoke about Knevin again earlier, that you have this idea of governing constraints, rules, this is what you must do. You don't have that now. You can't tell people what you must do, because as a leader, you have no idea what you must do at that level of detail. So you have to kind of let go of a bit of trust. What you should start doing, though, is the same, what we would call enabling constraints or rules of thumb. Tell people what they shouldn't do. So I mean, I have a daughter, and she has fairy tales. Fairy tales never tell you what to do. They always tell you what you shouldn't do.
Yeah.
You're trying to keep people alive long enough that they survive and can figure their own way forward.
Yeah.
And that's probably what leadership, maybe that's the way from authority that we know best. We want you to do that. We're going to control the outputs to, well, we know the inspirational message we want to give you. We want to call it mission command, inspirational, higher aim, whatever it is, we're going to say that's where you should be aiming. We're going to give you conditions in which we say don't do this because that's going to harm you. Within that space, you figure it out, and if it works, we support it. If it doesn't work, we make sure that we learn from that.
Absolutely.
So that kind of fits into kind of like quite a few of our ideas come together in that way.
Yeah. Yeah.